Jack of all trades, master of none. This is a phrase that I think should be honestly eradicated from the English language, because I think that being a jack of all trades is way better than only being good at kind of one thing. And I just wanted to talk a little bit today about how being a jack of all trades has helped me both in my life and my enjoyment of my life, but also in my music and creative career, because it's been a vital skill. In 2025, it has never been easier to make a living from your creativity, but you need to be kind of good at a bunch of different things to do it. So the first kind of defense of being a jack of all trades is, frankly, it's a lot more interesting and also very, very useful. Like, for example, when my fiance and I bought this condo, it had a bunch of leaky faucets, and I had to learn how to change sink cartridges, and I actually changed 2 entire faucets, and I learned about how some of that basic kind of plumbing and routing works. Again, it's very, very simple, but if anything ever goes wrong again, I have this very, very useful skill. Another place where I think in my day-to-day life that has been enriched is actually, ironically, working crappy part-time jobs. They were varying degrees of crappy, but I had to work my entire way through university so I could pay for my studies and, afford to live. I didn't live at home. I went to school in a different city than where I grew up. And some of the stuff that I learned there is awesome. Like my favorite job that I had before I was a full-time musician was as a supervisor at a coffee shop. It was a fancy coffee chain. And that taught me a bunch of skills that I actually still use to this day, every day, multiple times a day. I am a big fan of at-home espresso, and I can get cafe quality results from a little Breville machine in a slightly expensive grinder, but I know all about coffee. And again, my knowledge of coffee, like part of my training at this coffee shop, was learning what different coffees tasted like from different places in the world. And I can enjoy coffee so much more because I know a bunch of stuff about it. And again, I think you can apply this kind of logic to so many things, whether it's music, whether it's anything else. I think that you can get enjoyment and interest, and just chasing your interests and kind of learning is one of the best things that you can do for yourself, while also making yourself more useful to those in your life. Like my skills that I learned in high school woodshop helped me repair things around the house so my fiance and I can live in a condo that isn't falling apart. All of the skills that I learned with coffee help me enjoy coffee more and share kind of cool things with friends when they come over and I make them a coffee. It just makes you more interesting and more useful, and it lets you get more enjoyment out of more kind of tasks in your life. But now, in particular, let's talk about the big button thing, which is in my music career. So I first got into the guitar through dad rock, classic rock, the hair metal, and like Guns N' Roses stuff of the 80s was how I got into music. That naturally led me on a progression to getting heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. So in my musical career, I have the distinct honor of having toured Canada as both the guitarist in a grinding death metal band, the drummer in a hardcore punk band, and as the leader of a jazz guitar trio. And this kind of multitude of skills and the breadth of kind of what I've been involved in, I think has led me to have a much more enriching musical life, because I can enjoy and I'm knowledgeable about a whole bunch of different genres. I enjoy listening to country, mostly old country. I enjoy listening to grinding death metal. I enjoy listening to pop punk. I enjoy listening to hardcore. I enjoy listening to jazz, which I should confess is about 90% of my listening. I enjoy listening to pop. I enjoy listening to classical music. And I can explain all of it, and I'm involved in all of it, and I know bits about the history of all of it. So no matter kind of who I meet, or in particular the teaching aspect of my career, no matter who my student is, I can relate to them and explain things and convey things. And again, I think it's much more interesting to be really good at a bunch of things, or be involved and at least knowledgeable on a bunch of things, than it is to be like, nope, I'm only a jazz guitar teacher, or nope, I'm only a classical guitar teacher, or nope, I'm only a this, because there's so much beauty in so many things in life. And I think that following your curiosity and being interested in a lot of them is something that's going to be really, really good. Now, furthermore, in my creative kind of career, a huge area of being a jack of all trades has been knowing about, first of all, recording software. Again, this lets me be flexible. I have recording setup, I have mics, I have all of these things. I can produce my own professional quality music videos, my own professional quality kind of albums if I wanted to, and I'm planning on doing later this year. But by knowing this stuff, again, this not only makes me hireable as someone who knows about all of this stuff, but it also makes me more flexible and I can do my own things. And again, I do kind of bemoan sometimes the fact that I have to do everything myself, but I also love the fact that I can. And by being interested in and knowing about, what compressors do, how to mix, how to master, all of these things, it's really, really helpful and lets me be flexible in what I dream up and what I do without having to shell out so much money that it's not totally feasible. Another huge area of growth has been kind of more over the last 2 years as I've been getting into this YouTube thing. Holy crap, do I now know a lot about cameras. I know what ISO does. I know what shutter speed does. I know what aperture does, which that one used to confuse me a bunch. And I've learned, again, how to document these things and what effects they get. I know how to color grade. I know how to do all of these things, which again, just gives me more flexibility to do cool things and document cool things and get enjoyment out of my life. So if I have ideas, I have a means to actually execute them. And as going through all of this stuff, it enriches me again, because now if I get tired of doing guitar stuff, I'll look up cool photography things on YouTube and I'll be inspired by that and maybe take some of that energy to my music, or maybe I'll go take some nice frickin' photos. It's a really, really good thing, I think, to be involved in all of these different aspects so that you can do it. Because again, if I didn't possess all these skills of being, really good at the guitar, also knowing how to edit videos, also knowing how to record audio, and lighting is a big one actually for video. I've learned lighting is more important than gear. Who would have thought? Just like on the guitar, practicing is more important than your gear. But going through all of this stuff, again, by learning more and more and more about all of these different things, not only do I get to enjoy my life more and just kind of have all of these cool interests, but I can actually use them. You never know when you're going to need a weird random skill that you have. I have always kind of had like a weird ADHD brain where I've been interested in a lot of things. I hyper-focus on it, I get kind of good at it, and then I move on to the next thing. And regularly friends and people will be like, oh, I didn't know that you knew how to do that. And it's something that is actually, again, maybe my favorite thing about this crazy, weird, creative life that I live, where I film myself playing the guitar and sharing information on the guitar. I play the guitar at gigs and all of these things. I take photos. I do all of this stuff. It's something that, again, just makes my life more interesting. And the biggest thing, I think, as well, is that learning kind of all of these different things keeps your brain young, following your passion and just going into it rather than going, oh, I don't know how to do that. Freaking learn. You know what I mean? It's the age of the internet. You might as well use it for some good rather than, just doom scrolling on TikTok for 2 hours. I'm learning about photography. I'm learning what ISO does. I'm learning all of these different things. And it's something that, again, you can funnel all of these things into, you never know when you're going to need one of the skills that you're developing. And I would always say, even if you don't end up using them for monetary gain or for self-fulfillment through a creative project, I think there is so much to be said for just learning, because learning new things keeps your brain young. Currently right now, my mom has recently retired and I'm teaching her piano, and she's enjoying feeling how it stretches her brain and makes her think about things differently. So by going through all of this stuff, and learning in a bunch of things and making yourself a more interesting and a more useful and a more well-rounded human being, I think that there's almost no better way to spend your time. Is just follow your interests and get better at things. And the last thing I want to say in this video is that the best way to learn new things and get better at them is by doing the things. A lot of the time, like this YouTube channel, I started out and was like, I'll just throw up my phone and see what happens. Then I learned how video editing software worked. Then I learned how color grading worked. Then I got a different camera that had slightly more features. And now I have a very, very nice camera that has more features than I understand how to use right now. But again, I'm working on that. And just do the thing. Like, you have a little riff that you want to do, download a DAW and try to record it. See what happens. The best way to learn things is like go back to being a kid and just touch stuff with your hands, break stuff, try to see what happens and deal with the outcomes later. I think a lot of the time it's really easy to talk ourselves out of taking action and talk ourselves out of actually frickin' doing something because we don't know how, or we don't have this, or we don't have that. And again, I don't think I would be able to make a living from my creativity and from my music if I wasn't just trying to just do things all the time. I played jazz gigs before I was really ready, but I learned a bunch of stuff on those jazz gigs in crappy venues that paid me $5 to $10 that I then, when I was in the place to play real jazz venues and real things, I was prepared. I learned to do YouTube through just trial and error. If you want to go back, I have almost 300 videos on this damn channel. If you go back to the early ones, they're not very good. I'd like to think that I've gotten quite a bit better. And again, it's become, or that getting better has come from being good at a bunch of different things and following my interests and doing the thing. Like, nothing beats doing the thing when it comes to creativity and just learning things. We need to break things, we need to make mistakes, and then we learn, and then we do better the next time. It's one of the best things again. So this has been a crazy, crazy, crazy long ramble, but I just wanted to make this defense of jack of all trades, because that's one of my favorite things about being alive right now, is that I have all of these different skills and I can use them to help channel and package and do all of these things that I'm interested in. So if you found this video useful, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. I'd love to know your thoughts on everything that I said down below if you've made it this far in the video. If you want to book a guitar lesson with me, there's a link to get in touch with me down in the description. I'd love to work with you on whatever's troubling you on the guitar. Down in the description as well is a link to my Patreon if you want to support me in the free educational content that I put out here. All of my patrons get early access to my videos as well as cool behind the scenes sneak peeks. It's stuff that I don't share anywhere else, so I'd love to see you over there. If you're looking for a different way to support me, I do have an ebook and some video courses linked down in the description as well. It's a great way to get some more in-depth educational content from me than I can fit in a 10 to 15 minute YouTube video. And last but not least, I have new videos coming out every single week, so I hope I'll see you in the next one. And I'll wish you a wonderful day, and I hope you have some fun playing the guitar or learning new things. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll catch you in the next one.